can you please introduce yourself and tell me what you do at Spectral Instruments?
Yes, I'm Gary Sims, and I am the Chief Technical Officer and President of Spectral Instruments. I'm also the President of Spectral Instruments Imaging, another company here in Tucson, and associated companies, Direct Electron in San Diego, and of Rayonics in Evanston, Illinois.
Oh, thank you. That's a lot of roles. So can you tell me what your company does, particularly Spectral Instruments here in Tucson, and what markets do you serve?
Yes, Spectral Instruments makes electronic imaging systems used for scientific measurements, sort of equivalent to a camera you may take a picture of something with, but it's used again to make an accurate measurement, typically of intensity. The easiest application to appreciate is the cameras used for astronomical imaging. Not for amateur astronomy, where you're looking at something to get a pretty picture of it, but of an application such as used on the Catalina Sky Survey, where you're looking for an object moving through the sky and you need to know how large it is, how fast it's moving. And another example of planets orbiting a star, is there one there? You detect it by very small changes in the intensity of the light from that star. So that's kind of one of the easy to appreciate applications for our systems. Most of our customers are looking at fuzzy blobs, which do not produce pretty pictures, but they produce important scientific information.
Great. I think that is a wonderful explanation of what your cameras are about. So, what brought you and or the company to Tucson, and in a way, what does Tucson offer you to be here?
Okay, I came here personally to attend graduate school at the university in 1979. My graduate studies were in analytical chemistry, and
Oh,
there I got to interact with a number of people at, especially at Kitt Peak National Observatory. They were looking at using a new type of electronic detector for solar observations, and I was interested in using the same type for looking at basically a miniature sun that we created in the laboratory to determine the elemental composition of materials. So we had a lot of actual cross purposes, common purposes there, and I was able to learn a great bit about the technology from people based at Kitt Peak.
interesting. So you said you created a miniature sun in the lab. That sounds very exotic. Can you maybe tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, that is what's called an inductively coupled plasma, and it is a common type of instrument used to generate extremely high temperatures, much higher temperatures than you can generate with a flame.
Mm-hmm.
And so you introduce your sample that you're interested in the form of an aerosol into this plasma. The very high temperatures cause it to emit light characteristics of the element that are in the sample. If you have you introduce a little bit of sodium, the plasma is going to turn into a yellowish color because of the sodium. If you put in iron, it'll turn a different color, copper or something different. And there are multiple wavelengths you look at, and then you measure the intensity of those. You tell how much sodium or copper or iron are in that sample. And it's a very common technique. And the whole approach that we developed at the university with my research director, Bonner Denton, uh, became the standard way of doing elemental analysis. And the same approach is still the common way of doing it.
Hmm. Yeah, great. So now, when you look at your company and your product portfolio, um, and where you are in your introduction of new things, where do you see your company affecting the future, um, and how does it affect maybe the community in Tucson or the community at large, for that matter? And this is kind of an intentionally very open question, so you can be as philosophical as you would like to be.
Okay. Well, at Spectral Instruments, we focus on the detectors that are tools for scientists in a wide range of disciplines. Um, we build detectors that are used, as I said, for astronomy, for high energy physics, and for biochemical research, for pharmaceutical research. For example, a number of our cameras were used on the whole COVID project to determine what this virus is, what does it look like, what are these spike proteins shaped like, so we can design something to go identify this and become a vaccine for it. So we built detectors that were used in the X-ray crystallography application to determine the structure of the
Structure.
proteins. Also for the direct electron, they build detectors for electron microscopy. So they were also imaging the, the structural shape of the molecules that are on those spike proteins. We also here build imaging systems using for laboratory animals that are used when you do splice a gene into a cell, so we can see where those cells end up and how many of them there are in an animal. So we really cover quite a wide range of different um, scientific applications. Um, and it's a great actually job for me because I get to interact with all different types of scientists.
Hmm.
So it's actually a lot of fun to be able to have a role. It may be a small role, but an important role in a wide range of scientific development. And some of those developments are extremely important for the public at large. For example, for the best recent example, of course, is the whole COVID virus
Right.
development of the vaccines for it.
Well, thank you very much. This was a really nice interview, and I appreciate your time for that. Did you want to add something for our listeners that I might have not asked that you would like to say?
Um, I think the only thing I would add to it is this is a great field to be working in. It's a great job to have. You're doing something very important, very meaningful. Um, and I would encourage any young person who has any interest in anything technical to go into that with everything they have, because it if you have any bent for technology, whether it be science or engineering, it's a really a great position to have, a great career to have, it can be extremely fulfilling and meaningful for the world.
Thank you.